Welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness. I want to just go into a little flow with the guides and see what they have to share with us today. So I'm just going to drop into a little channel of messages and I just open up my consciousness to source energy, my higher self, my guidance. I call it my higher guidance team, and just maybe they have something to share that would be helpful for the collective today. Some of this is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis. And I am using my new old microphone that I haven't used in a while. So hopefully the sound quality is okay and isn't too muffled, but we're going to find out. So some light language. Washiniki kwabi ashi ninikai ish iwahai niki wahai shine. We are entering into a new phase of development, as we have called it before. This phase, if you will, or this point in time, this space that we are continuously holding from an infinite perspective, yet in this now moment, is redirecting our signals. Our signaling is being redirected. And not only does the signal include the signals that are unfolding within our body, within our template, within our temple, within our structure. They are restructuring and realigning with the symbology, the symbolism, and the symbols and the sounds that are more relevant for what we would like to move into creationally moving forward. This is a play on words. What we would like to create moving forward, what we would like to be creative about moving forward, what we would like to creationally move into moving forward, so on and so forth. And we will redirect the signal for just a moment, and we invite you to tune into your body for a moment and notice, is my body in a state of fight or flight? For the response mechanisms that are created when we are in heightened states of cortisol, if you will, play on words. So it is a literal word, but they're asking me to play with that at one point. We invite you to feel into the feelings and the sensations that are in the body that are going to give us the advanced perceptions and awareness to fully perceive the new reality that is unfolding in front of us. Time and time again, we speak of the references to that which is coming through the skin suit, the energy that you and I are tuned into with each other, and the energies that are tuning into us through each other, so on and so forth. For all is an interchangeable and interdimensional expression of source frequency and energy, yet we are all expressing it in an individuality, if you will, especially in this particular reality. So each of us holds a different signature, each of us holds a different font or a different frequency. And sometimes these fonts, if you will, are boldened or italicized. This is a play on words. Italics. I'm seeing seen. Right, sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller, sometimes it's brighter, sometimes it's darker. And we would invite you to kind of play with this, for your font or the way that you create is changing. The way in which you actively combine your frequencies within your body is changing. You are going through an existential upgrade, if you will. And as we go through these upgrades, we all upgrade together. For the network that we are, each and every one of us intertwined through and woven into, is an interconnected, interdimensional, extra dimensional, multidimensional framework of reality. So as you grow, so too do we grow. The angelic frequency, the galactic frequencies, the councils, the guides, all the animal and plant kingdoms, and the logos, planets, and galactic cosmic connections to the stars and the other planets. I'm hearing the exoplanets and more planets and so on and so forth. Everything is rippled and impacted by the ripple effect that you are having by and by. We are playing with this because we want everybody to feel how galactically intertwined each and every one of us is. For once we escape the black hole of the mind, we say this with loving kindness and compassion, Once we move out of the gravitational pull of the false identification with the mind, we move into a much broader base, a much broader spectrum that allows us to descramble that which has scrambled our minds. I'm hearing that song, Where is My Mind? It's like an old 90s song. Pretty good. And so we have been scrambled time and time again before and before and before. And yet here we are at another door, a precipice, if you will. And we have unlatched that frequency that allows us to move through the door, pass down the passageway, beyond the passages that were written before, time, and time again. And so we come into this retrograde, if you will. And this is a play on words, so I'm being called to just roll with this for a moment. Now I'm being called to look it up. So I'll come back to this and just go back into flow, but the guides are wanting me just to focus on this for a second. So retrograde, sorry, I'm just reading these definitions, but I'll go back in position or time. So this also has to do with astrology, of course, and I think in retrogrades it just looks like we're going backwards, or it feels like we're going backwards. But what I'm being shown is this has to do with the deeper meaning, which is to go back in position. So this is a play on words. We're moving back into a position before time was an imposition. Like, it's a play on words. Like, we're sustaining a gravitational force that is working through with such forcefulness. That's play on words. Like, it has fullness to it, that it's allowing us to springboard off of a particular pattern or frequency that we're creating and that we're tuning into. And what I'm being shown as I say this is a pattern or a frequency that we have been out of tune with, and now we're coming back into attunement with it. We're hearing it again, and because we're hearing this different chord, it's creating a new position in time. And I'm showing like this new spoke growing, or a new chain growing, or a new wave spectrum that's within this mix or bandwidth, a new bandwidth, if you want to call it that. But what they're showing me, I'm hearing words, and I'm just going to say what's coming through like I do when I'm walking, and it'll all come together. I'm hearing rotational access implications. I'm hearing new space stations, new abilities to tune into different stations within space. This also includes time travel. This includes our places and spaces in space that are in between what we have seen before. And I'll come back and play with this a little bit more. And so we are shifting a frequency so strong. So the frequency that we're shifting is so strong, but we are doing it in such a strong state that it's creating a new state of awareness. A new presence, if you will, is now able to be folded into the mix, to be felt. And as we allow this presence within ourselves to reveal what it is that we are feeling, what we are sensing, what we are expressing, we become a new human. And we are then able to express from this platform, this new platform, from this ability to springboard off the old platform, and with abundance land in this new frequency of I'm seeing the land before time again. I'm seeing Jurassic Park, actually. Not that we're going to land in the time of the dinosaurs, but it's something about us backtracking in time to pick up where we left off and to pick up the pieces we left behind. And I'm hearing anatomical position. It brings into us a different state of awareness, a robust taste for a higher state of awareness, a higher state of everything, a higher state of compassion, a higher state of resonance, meaning the length of I'm hearing a couple words: deviation, derivation, time, longer time. And so we feel this pull because we have felt it before. And yet, in this now moment, we are already at another door. Yet we feel as if we have not accessed this space yet. And yet, here we are already looking towards this next space while not recognizing that we have surpassed the old. And this is a play on words because many people will not be recognizing they have already surpassed a lower dimension. Other people are not recognizing that they're in an encapsulation that has given us the ability and occupation to occupy a frequency domain for a certain length of time that gave them the stabilization or ability to create a new reality from that deviation, from that bubble, from that space which they were holding. So I'm being shown bubbles. So we're creating, so that whole bubble is a reality inside of it, like a cosmos. But what I'm being shown is some of us felt like we were being held back, but in actual reality, we were being held in a bubble so that we could differentiate between certain reality structures, feelings, emotions, thought patterns, and we could make certain choices that gave us a dynamic way of interacting with reality that it's almost like I'm just seeing like we needed to go through what we went through in this bubble so that when that bubble locked into the next exchange of frequency, energy, domain, um I'm seeing like these interlocking bubbles. And then when they interlock together, they exchange energy more strongly. So what I'm hearing is it's a higher compatibility, right? So it's like a cellular connection. So it's almost as if we've now moved so, and I might be future tripping here a little bit. I'm being shown that because sometimes I'll do a video and it'll be talking about 6 months from now, or I'll do a reading for someone and they'll say, hey, you told me this 6 months ago and this is what happened, or this is a year ago. So this is what I'm seeing. The collective is trying to get us to recognize we are creating. We're already there. I'm hearing a hypercube. Okay, it's going to be one of those videos. So I'm going to share a share screen here. I think you guys can see this. So I just went on Hypercube, the AI overview. A hypercube is a generalization of a cube to higher dimensions. So this is going to a tesseract. So it goes, a cube is 3D and a tesseract is 4D. I want to play with this a little bit. So basically we've gone from 3D to 4D and we just haven't even recognized it. Some of us have. But then if I go into Wikipedia, I know sometimes I like this. I think I've seen this before. I'm going to pull this up. This is a rotating tesseract. So if you look at this and we just pretend for a moment, it's interesting because I remember looking at this before and it looked, oh, I see it. So let your eyes kind of play with this a little bit. I see a cube moving out of the center, then expanding and go and absorbing that other cube. And then it comes forward again, and then it moves out. And so there's this one cube that's always in the middle. It expands out and then it comes back around. So I'm seeing a reference that this has to do with time. So just kind of play with that for a moment. I'm on Wikipedia, by the way. And now we know time is a spiral and all of this, but if we have all this information that's held within this, it's like the Aurora Boreas, is that what it's called? The snake that swallows its tail, right? It's that circle. And my guides have been showing me that we've been coming back to 0 point is what they call it. So the zero, the center point. And so this is constantly, it's all inside. I am hearing that song, right? It's all inside of you. Let me turn this a little bit. Okay. Um, and I'm hearing rotating position. So our rotating position, we're shifting degree. What I'm hearing is we have these different access points on the diagonal. So it's almost like we're able to then access these different levels of awareness that are held or encapsulated within certain time zones. And this has to do with not time zones as in Pacific versus Eastern, but like dimensional fields. So these access points within the dimensional time zones or zones of differentiation or different zones of patterning forces that create some sort of, what I'm hearing is create a torus, right? So we're talking about gravity. We're talking about the body as torus. Toruses are in everything from my understanding, but it's a specific dimensional request is what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing you keep on knocking, but you can't get in. So it's like we are at the door. And so let me come back to this and play with this a little bit more. So as we access these different points of perception, we will start to activate more linear presentations of multidimensional perspectives. And this is a play on words because everything we do operates within this particular spectral field, if you will. And so, how we see through this operating view is oftentimes viewed through a distorted lens or lenses of distortion or lenses of perception, and in some cases, lenses of distorted perception. As we awaken to this recognition, inner recognition, and remembrance, we go back in time. We start to find records that show us different creations at different conjunction points that were previously, I'm hearing, left in the dirt and or left in the dust, and then I'm hearing ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Yet this is all us. It is us signaling to us. It is us talking. I'm hearing mirror in the bathroom. It's a musical 80s day apparently. Please, mirror in the bathroom. So it's like we're looking back at us as our ancestors once did. And yes, this is science fiction sounding, yet science fiction always has a base in science. And fiction has led us to understand science in a more relative way. That's a fun play on words. Like the theory of relativity and Einstein and imagination. And it is important to play and again and again and again, because as we start to open these boxes, if you will, and we start to look inside, we find more than we bargained for. Playing words with bargain. We find more than we have accessed before. And because of this, we are able to access more. We make certain points or structures in the world. I'm seeing Cracker Jack X's with the spheres on them, the end. And we begin to atone, if you will, for certain ideas, concepts, and distortions that at one time could be thought of as limiting. We instead open the box and restore our sense of curiosity and humanity when we play in the center of gravity. And we're playing with that word because the definition or that which you believe is a definitive definition of gravity isn't necessarily fully understood, even though we are all utilizing it. We would just venture to say for this particular presentation, it's the center, it's the whole in the middle, the wholeness, the completeness in the center of a toroidal field. And this center of frequency that emits a tone is allowing us access to this within a cone of energy, within a cone of frequencies. So I'm seeing all the stuff that Dan Winters talks about, and I know I'm going to butcher what he says, but you can go check his videos out. But I'm hearing some of it's incomplete. Not necessarily what he says, maybe they're referring to what he says. I don't know where I put my whiteboard, but I'm seeing the hourglass, which is an upside down diamond. If you guys watch Robert Edward Grant, I think he has that as his logo. I'm seeing, I have it in a couple of my pictures, that center space where everything comes out, and I'm seeing cones like the cross. But you know, you watch like the what are they called? Um, I'm not a history buff, clearly, but Knights of the Templar and those that whole it's like or all the symbols is what I'm hearing. It's not about the Knights of the Templar. It's not, it's about the original blueprint. It's about, I'm hearing the original blueprint, the original temple, the original blueprint of the human field. We're connecting with that, like the original. And I know that sounds funny, but I'm being shown like I'm seeing original and I'm seeing aboriginal and I'm seeing how they don't like having their pictures taken. And I'm being shown again the dinosaurs, the land before time. Like there's something happening where all of this is compacting, is what I'm seeing, and coming together into this eye of the needle, into this point, into this one center. And if we listen carefully, we can feel that origination emanating from our own structure of physicality within the heart, mind, and vibration and frequency of this. I'm hearing exclamation, but there's a play on words about this because they're using poetry and words to help draw me into a particular path. Oh, I'm hearing exclamation point, like it's the dot, right? It's the center of gravity. And so if we can pinpoint that center, and by the way, this isn't literally like, okay, looking out in space or looking, it's a feeling, it's a center, it's a centeredness. It's feeling like, whoa, I am connected to all that is, will be, and ever was, all right now in this moment. For some, this will cause a great state of overwhelm, and we play with the word state because the location of the individual who is recognizing this energy or feeling this energy is also relevant. We invite all who feel into this archaeology, this temple of geometry, this ability to do the math, to figure out where you feel most comfortable in a deeper state or sense of well being. We invite you to align with that, for you will need that in the coming months in order to see through the projections or reality views or clusters of energy and culprits, if you will, that seek to divide our energy. For when we are not centered and finding that still one point, we are divided up into many points. And the irony is that when we find the stillness at one point, we see all of those points. Yet when we are in that point, we do not see the connection to all. So I'm being called to draw this with my wonderful artwork. All right, so um, the ring light's gonna, oh good, that's makes it bright enough, yes. So this is our person. We're at, maybe I should turn it off. Well, we'll put it right in the middle, yay. So that's the center, that's the 0 point. Now, when we're in oneness, that's the little stick figure in the middle, that's the number 1. Sorry, it goes backwards here. That person, when they're not realizing that they're that oneness, they're scattered into all those other pieces outside of them, all these little spots, right? And then what I'm being shown is you feel like all of a sudden you are this person out here. I'll draw that. So you're here, but when you're scattered, you feel like you're over here, disconnected from this. But those are all the points on the star. So they're all connected, and what I'm being shown is this is the goal of the old design scheme, is what I'm hearing. Not schematic, scheme. So was to get everybody out here separate from this, and this was our plan too, to feel that separateness, right? To feel as far away as we could. So we felt like we were out here when we've been really here. So we're going back into this. Now, from here, this person can't see anything but this and maybe whatever's around them. This person can see all of this. And I'm being called to play with this for a moment because what I'm getting the message about is, and this happened to me when I first had my like Kundalini activation, I started having all of my memories come back and it fades, you guys. It doesn't necessarily stick with you. For some people, it does. I had all of my memories come back in of me being all things. I had visions of being a jellyfish being out in outer space in some place, and that was the shape of my body. I had a vision that I was one of these bubbles. I had visions of being light, just light. I had a sense of that space. I was in the void, floating in the void as this in like a womb, as a what's a vision of, like, let's say, and anyways, I had a lot of visions. And then all of a sudden I was the womb. I was that void. And so I went through this whole cycle. And what I'm being called to share is, for those of you who might be experiencing this, it could start with just past lives. For me, I think part of it is I started dreaming about children that I'd had in a previous lifetime. And I didn't know why I was having these nightmares. And then the nightmares turned into lucid dreams. And then the lucid dreams turned into that in between space where you're not sure if you're awake or you're asleep, but you're not asleep. And I was seeing things while I was awake in meditation with my eyes open or my eyes softly closed. So, my point is that it can cause people to feel confused, emotional. I started crying and I didn't know why. I was so sad when I saw these children. And then I did have a session, I want to say it was with Daniel Scranton years ago. So if you have never listened to him, I love his Arcturian channelings. But sometimes we need other healers and other light workers and psychics and mediums and channels, or even just a chiropractor. I'm not trying to put them in the same esoteric um, identification, but you know what I mean. Sometimes we need help, and it's not necessarily your mainstream help when this kind of stuff is going on, because you do think you're going crazy. And the mainstream people who are maybe here don't realize that all this other stuff exists. And when you start to see all this other stuff, it can be unnerving. It can be create an imbalance. So, from one perspective of the us versus them perspective, that's what they want. But we all agreed to come here from one perspective and play out a certain role, right? So, in essence, we're just saying that's not the role we're playing anymore. We're done with that. And some people, them, are saying, no, no, I want to play that game still. And some of us are like, the game is bigger than that now. It isn't, where do I want to go? What movie do I want to go watch? What am I going to eat tonight? I got to go exercise. That's fine. And that's part of our linear lives that we need to have in order to feel gravity. But there's some of us that are like, whoa, what's out here? I'm seeing so much more. That'll oscillate. It oscillates for a lot of us. Some people get stuck out there and they're like, I can see everything. And what I'm hearing is we don't want to become schismed either, because that also, in essence, is sometimes what helps us versus them. Because when we feel as if we're um left out, or we feel like we don't fit in, or we feel isolated, or we feel like nobody understands us, that is sometimes what we need to experience in order to coming back to our unique oneness within ourselves and within um a community, right? A partnership, a relationship, family, whatever that community looks like. But also, what I'm seeing is that when we become schismed and we feel like that's, so some people, I'm being called to just repeat that, they think this is the only thing that exists, and maybe these little guys over here. Or from another perspective, this person feels like totally separate from everything else. They are aware of all of that, but they don't feel like this. They feel like that when they're experiencing it. That's a schism, right? It's separateness. It's shards of glass, right? It's like, whoa, I don't connect with anyone or anything. That is not true. It's only what we believe to be true. So what I'm being shown is, depending on it really is going to depend on the person. So everybody's going through their own unique experience. And sometimes that's something we have to go through. I went through that, feeling completely isolated and nobody understands me. And it was hard, but it all integrates. And the cool thing is, a lot of people are integrating it instantly. They're not having to go through things the hard way like I did, which is awesome. Or maybe how you had to. Maybe you're one of those people that's like, yeah, I already saw my lives. It was fun. I'm done. Now I'm going to help, I'm going to be the best mom I can be, or whatever. So it really depends on the person, but I'm being shown that that's happening for a lot of us at this particular point in time. And then I'm being shown the exclamation point again. So it's like, kabam, it's happening to a lot of us, and it's happening loudly in our own way. We're not necessarily all going to be running around shouting that, but people are feeling it inside, and they're not really sure what they're feeling inside. Now, I'm also being called to share what they're showing me is it doesn't necessarily happen in the way I just described. People might just be feeling emotions and they don't know why. They don't know because they still cellularly are holding in their body the experience of losing a child in a previous lifetime. In my vision, these children died of malaria, my children in previous lifetime in Africa, and I couldn't save them. And that happened to me a lot in many lifetimes. So that was held within my body. And when I was having these visions and dreams, I would cry. And I'd be like, why am I crying? I mean, it's sad. These kids look sick, but and then Daniel Scranton help me make the connection. Although, quite frankly, I already knew. And sometimes you just know because you feel it. And other times you know when somebody tells you and you feel this relief wash through you physically where you're like, I knew it. Right. So there's stuff happening that way. What I'm being shown is being aware of who we're talking with about these things is also important when you're in a state of vulnerability. Because not everybody, I'm hearing isolation, you're just going to feel more isolated. That's going to be reflected back to you. If you're telling people your story and they're looking at you like, yeah, you might want to see a therapist. You might want to see a therapist. But I'm here to share that traditional methods aren't always going to give you what you need. Ideally, those traditional methods will help to pull up and show you within what you need or what's being processed and integrated. And what I'm hearing is we don't always have to know, but it is what the guides are coming back to circle back around into the beginning of this is to feel it. Allow ourselves to feel it. I'm hearing a lot of things right now, you guys. It's that kind of energy day. I'm hearing shiny disco ball and feel I feel like dancing. I want to dance the night away. So I'm seeing like people, if they can get into their bodies and feel and dance and move and let the energy kind of move through us, it's going to give us a clearer um I'm being shown we're going through a rite of passage. It's going to give us a clearer channel in understanding or just integrating what those frequencies are, even if we don't understand them. So we will end on this note for this particular transmission and just share that this is a beautiful time in history. You are making history, and we are speaking about this history to you as you from the future, from one perspective. For all those that are in a higher dimensional vantage point, they have a higher dimensional vantage point, is really just a different space or a different vibrational tone or a different channel or a different dimension from which things are viewed. For many of those who are in the higher dimensions, we are able to view things from an already forward thinking, open hearted way of being. And we are sending that signal back to you through the signals within the human body and the vocalization of these particular messages and transmissions. And so all of you have this access now within your own temple, within your own template. And you are receiving these messages throughout your day. It is a matter of tuning in and allowing yourself to play however it gives you a feeling of momentum or when I say momentum, I'm seeing movement. I'm seeing like a shift. Oh, I feel better. That was fun. That's interesting. Like sparks I'm being shown. And so we would invite you to allow your sparks to become longer sparkles and to let these sparkles float around you in such a way that you feel held within this womb of creation, within this space that you are creating, and allow that energy and light to absorb any of the heaviness you may feel. Allow those sparkles, that energy and light to absorb and draw out of you so that you may fully move into a more expansive, expressive, creative, abundant version of you. And this is an exercise that you can do. You can recognize and feel as if you are in this bubble being transported from one bubble to another, in this sparkly, lit, beautiful, cohesive, moving, and I'm being shown supportive space. And as you allow yourself to grow within this frequency and energy of delight, it will allow you to let go of the fight or flight, let go of the lack of resources, and recognize that you are coming back to the resource that you already are. And we will play with this more in the future from a different perspective. And for now, we sign off. I'm hearing sign out. So, SINE. In love and light, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Namaste. Have fun creating.